Hola, mi amigos. Yo soy St.Christopher, and this is The Writer's Block, a book review show where I tell you if a book is good enough that I would recommend it to a friend, or so bad that I would chop it in half with an axe. Today on The Writer's Block, Wild by Cheryl Strayed. So in a brief summation of this book, there is a woman named Cheryl whose life is falling apart. Her mother has just died, her husband has just divorced her, her heroin addict junkie is doing heroin with her, and she has just become pregnant. All of this pandemonium leads her to trying to take a big break from life and going to hike the PCT. All in all, as a book about hiking, this gives me everything I want. Talks about blisters on the feet, shitting in uncomfortable places in the middle of nowhere, packing a bag that's too heavy and needing to decide what to bring. For her adventure along the way, there's beautiful descriptions of nature, like when she sleeps by a lake and she wakes up and she feels little wet hands all over her. And then she realizes they are not hands, they are actually frogs. The side characters in this book shine because they always kind of come in as an interval between long periods of prose talking about the hiking. The dialogue is quick, snippy, to the point. It's about a woman trying to hike a very long distance and encountering the difficulties that nature is going to throw her way. The main thing that I like about this book, probably 200 pages apart, I feel like this is the real crux of the novel. When she gets pregnant, she gets an abortion, and it is skipped over very quickly. It just says, I got an abortion, in one sentence. It's never mentioned again, and we move on to the PCT. She goes on a beautiful hike, she has these wonderful experiences, and depending on who you are, this is like an incredible story about a woman finding herself, or if you are not for people getting abortions, this is a woman who has killed a potential human and then just goes about her carefree life. Some people could wonder what would happen if she kept that child. And then this is addressed later on in the book. So it's on page 273. Quote, this is her mother talking. I never got to be in the driver's seat of my own life, she wept to me once, in the days after she learned she was going to die. I always did what someone else wanted me to do. I've always been someone's daughter or mother or wife. I've never just been me. Oh, Mom, was all I could say as I stroked her hand. I was too young to say anything else. And this is a beautiful piece of juxtaposition where she has separated from her mother's path and gone off on her own wild adventure. And it begs into question, what is civilization and what is wild, and what are the benefits of both? And what are you more suited for? In civilization, she watched her mother slowly die at a somewhat unreasonable age. She was getting divorced for her husband, having random sex with a bunch of different weird men, shooting up heroin into her heel, and getting pregnant. And then if she gave birth to that baby, maybe she would have been a junkie. Maybe she wouldn't have been able to stop herself and would have kept doing heroin during her pregnancy. That is how civilization is portrayed in the beginning. That is what she's escaping from. Civilization has crafted her into this being that is pretty revolting. It's only after she steps onto the trail and she starts wearing her hips raw and getting blisters on her feet. That is when she comes into herself. I don't know if it's purposeful, but this is the question I hear when I read this book. Maybe this is a generational question, which is, what are you supposed to do? Are you supposed to leave society behind, leave all your responsibilities behind, and then go off and seek a path of self-fulfillment? Or are you supposed to do what her mother did, which is sacrifice your life to raise a daughter who wrote this book? Or sacrifice your life for something else, to be a wife? The answer is probably different for everyone. And this is her answer, is to be wild. And so this book gets off the block.